So, the question is the Aventon M the Swiss Army knife of bikes? I like to think it is, and we'll find out as we go through this video. I'm going to tell you why it fits everything that I want in an e-bike. And I've gone through a lot of e-bikes in since 2018, last 7 years. I've been riding bikes since I could ride a bike. I don't know if that was, what, 5, 6 years old? I've never stopped riding bikes. My late wife and I rode our bikes for the 34 years that we were married. We rode mountain bikes when we lived out in Pennsylvania. We moved here to Wisconsin. We got road bikes, but we never rode on the road. We always ride on the bike trails. Too many distractions on the road. I've never ridden on the road, just not zen for me. Too many issues with distracted drivers and people that have medical events that don't plan on running you over, but they do because they have a medical event. I ride on bike trails. My late wife, Shell, and I rode on bike trails. And I've been looking for a bike that really fits my needs. Shell and I rode, like I said, mountain bikes out in Pennsylvania. And we moved here 17 years ago. And we moved here because they have great bike trails. Well, one of the reasons we moved here is because of great bike trails. And we had, I think we had hybrid bikes, probably the worst bikes we ever bought. When we first moved here, got rid of the mountain bikes. And then we switched to carbon fiber road bikes. We made the mistake of riding a carbon fiber bike at an event put on by a local bike shop. And once you've ridden a carbon fiber bike, it's like, wow, that's great. But they were road style, so we were bent over, not comfortable, having to wear spandex really to be efficient to ride on those. Not always comfortable either. Seat, not comfortable. There's nothing comfortable about a road bike where you're riding in what they call the drops. And then Cheryl was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer out of the blue, and we were concerned for her safety, so we switched to recumbent trikes. Instead of just getting one for her and that being her scarlet letter, we bought 2 of them so I could ride with her. One of the best decisions we made in riding bikes. Unfortunately, she passed away now almost 3 years ago. And for 20 months, she could ride that recumbent trike, no problems. So her cancer made her tired. It was difficult. And she could get on her recumbent and ride 30, 40 miles, no issues. After she passed away, I wanted to get back into two-wheel bikes again. It was my midlife crisis. I went through, in the last 3 years since Cheryl passed away, I think I've had 3 or 4 different e-bikes, a carbon fiber fat bike. All of them were interesting, none of them were great. My go-to bike would still be my trike. So I'd gotten rid of all those, sold all those, and riding for me has been a key part of my mental health, both during Cheryl's diagnosis and after she passed away, especially after she passed away. It was my mental health therapy, physical and mental health. So I want to get back on a two-wheel bike. And I just, like I said, I sold all the other ones last year. And I see a lot of people on the bike trail, live right on the interurban bike trail, right at the end of my driveway. And I see a lot of people riding Aventon bikes. Everybody loved them. They look like they're well built compared to a lot of the other bikes that are, some are internet only order, and maybe I think Aventon started that way, but now they're carried by a lot of bike shops. Our local bike shop has a good inventory of them. And I looked online, like everybody else, did my research online, and I had narrowed it down to 2 bikes. The Aventon, I think it's called the 3, Adventure 3, and the Adventure M. Based on my size, I'm 6'4". The 3 was not recommended for my size, and the M was, and after I did a lot of research, which I'll show you here, it turned out to be a much better choice for me. And it is the Swiss Army knife, because if you are new to biking, e-bikes, they come in 3 classes. Class 1 is pedal assist up to 20 miles an hour. Class 2 is throttle and pedal assist up to 20 miles an hour. And class 3 is pedal assist up to 28 miles an hour, no throttle. In the states of Wisconsin, where I live, and Michigan, class 2 is not, quote, legal on state bike trails. Now you can ride them on your local bike paths around here, but on state bike trails, they aren't technically legal. Are there any bike police checking that? In the 7 years I've had an e-bike, and Cheryl and I have ridden on a lot of bike trails, state trails in Wisconsin and in Michigan by Sleeping Bear Dunes in Traverse City area. And not one person ever asked us what class our bikes were. Now, put a picture up here. Right on the bikes, you'll see here it's class 1. There's labels on all these bikes that are fit into these classes. Now you've got these bikes that don't fit into class 1, 2, or 3 and really shouldn't be on bike trails. Go too fast, too much power, another story. But I had to find a bike that was class 1, and the Aventon M mountain bike is as a class 1. That's what it's stock as. But through the app, you can add a throttle, which I have. So on my local bike trail, if I want to use a throttle, I don't use that very often. Maybe just to get started, a little bit easier when you're uphill on an intersection. That's the only time I might use throttle. But you can disconnect that and you're completely legal as a class 1 bike. You can also go in and adjust the speed up to 28 miles an hour, so it's a class 3. So you got class 1, 2, and 3 all in one bike. Let me show you some of the things that I like about this bike that made me switch to this. Let's go look at them. All right, let's see what I think is so great about this bike from Aventon. Okay, it's manufactured by Aventon. It's an Aventon M fat bike. I referred to it as a mountain bike before. That's not true. They do actually have Aventon mountain bikes. This is a fat bike because of the fat tires. And there's a couple of reasons why I chose that. Like I mentioned before, I ride my recumbent on paved trails all over the Wisconsin and Michigan. But there are some trails that are state trails that are gravel, and sometimes they have a little ridge going down the middle of it, which makes it almost impossible to ride a trike because your rear tire is almost always on that ridge. Got some that are a little looser gravel, or maybe the skinnier tires. Mine are only 2 inches wide on my recumbent, and you need these fatter tires on here. These are, let me get up here so you can see, the reason why this is called a fat bike. It's got 4-inch tires. Okay, 4 inches across here. You can run it with, I believe you go up to 35 PSI, which will give you a lower resistance to rolling. You'll get better mileage on the battery, and you can put them down to, I think, maybe 4 or 5 pounds, and it's going to offer better traction in really sloppy conditions, snow, mud, but your mileage is going to go way down if you're using battery assist. What's great about this, like I said, is it's stock as a class 1. I'll show you the sticker right down here on all e-bikes. You have a sticker that says what class it is if somebody wants to check. But I'm 6'4" and 32-inch inseam. So got the same body, exact same body shape as Michael Phelps without the six packs or gold medals. I'm too old to ride bent over, so I had the bike shop on all my bikes. I always have them put a riser on here. This is about a 3-inch riser. So what you have to be careful is when you do that, that all of these cables in here are not compromised, they're not stretched to the max, they're not pinched or anything like that. I still have room to raise this up some more, but I would have to have the bike shop put a longer cable on the front brake cable for me. Like I said, this comes as a class 1, but I did put a throttle on here. It does help on get started when you're sitting in a hill, like at a stoplight or something. But I can disconnect it down in here, and it'll be street legal, or be legal on Michigan and Wisconsin bike trails as a class 1. Well, the throttle makes it a class 2. On the app and in here, you can get it up to 28 miles an hour. That's really fast on a bike. If you fall off a bike at 28, it's going to hurt. I normally ride between 12 and 15 miles an hour, whether I'm on my recumbent, which is sitting over here, or whether I ride a 2-wheel bike. That's my comfort zone. This does have electronic shifting, so you're not pushing levers. You're just going to push this up or down to change gears. The seat looks pretty comfortable. I may or may not change the seat out. I really have a preference for Brooks saddles. They're all leather, lots of suspension on them. This does have a suspension post on here, so you'll get some movement up there to make it comfortable. But your sit bones that sit right here, sometimes you've all done it. When you get off of a bike, you feel like you can walk around a fire hydrant without spreading your legs open anymore because you're so sore. You're walking like you've ridden a horse all day. This does come, the M. Let me back up. The reason why it's called an M is because the motor is mid-mount right here, right where the pedals are. Whereas the Aventon 3, which has a rear hub, the motor's back here. Pros and cons to both of them, but I really like the mid-mount right here. The M comes with a stock rack on here. I have panniers, or do you say panniers, for here from a company called Arkel, manufactured in Canada. I've had these bags for like 10 or 12, 14 years. They last forever, so I'll put those on here, and I have another bag for shorter rides that goes right here. Comes with a kickstand, which is not down right now. Kickstand is right here. Nice heavy duty kickstand, but I've got this sitting in a Fat Tire bike stand right here, so I don't need that right now. And what's nice about this is it has a true through axle, which a lot of bike manufacturers are going to. So I do have a Burley Coho trailer that I pull, my camera gear, maybe kites or other stuff, food that I can put behind here. And you need a through axle in here to be able to put the mount in there that the Burley requires. So I'll be doing a video on that installation. This is the front tire, does have front suspension, so this will move a few inches up and down. I'm not doing that much rough riding, but on trails, that'll give you a little bit more comfort in there. The pedals I'm going to be changing out on here because I have big feet, size 11. These are great pedals that Aventon puts on here. See the little metal nubs sticking out here. This, I like these as much as clipped in pedals. On all my other bikes, I have to be clipped in to ride them, or in the past. That's not if you're going to fall over, it's when you're going to fall over, you're clipped in. Here you don't need to be clipped in. I'm going to be putting some Crank Brothers Stamp 7 pedals. They're about 30 or 40% larger for my foot. Manufacturers like Aventon build their bikes for 90% of the people. I'm an outlier, so even though they build a great bike, they can't make it for everybody. So I got to do a few modifications. Nothing serious. I'm also going to change these handles up here. I don't like these round handles. I've got some wing-shaped handles that go on here with extenders on the side, so it gives me another hand position when I'm riding. So I think this is a great bike. You'll go to other YouTube channels and they'll tell you, how many teeth are on the front chain ring, the back, how many gears. I look at that when I buy bikes, but that's not what I think is critical. I look for a company that's got a great reputation, can be serviced at a lot of bike stores, local bike shops. Aventon has that reputation. Disc brakes, front and back, nice stopping power. They've got, doesn't show up great here with the lighting, but there's a pad there that keeps the chain from going down on the frame. So I think this is going to be the true Swiss Army knife, if you will, of e-bike for me and fat bike, because there's a couple trails I ride, like the Bearskin Trail up in Minocqua, that can be a little sloppy, and if they have a little bit of rain, it's just easier to ride on gravel. So I'm looking forward to riding on this. I'll show you the updates as I get them done. I'll post those in other videos. This will be the whole Aventon Fat Bike series. If you want to come back, check the series, you can see what I've added to the bike. So, is this the Swiss Army knife of e-bikes? I think it is. And I already have a list of things that I've forgotten to share with you. This has blinkers on the back. If you're driving in city traffic, there's a couple bike trails I ride on where a block or two I'm in city traffic. It's got blinkers in the back. It's got a locking system, so you can initiate the lock on your bike. A pin comes out and goes into the spindle back here, and will lock it so people can't carry your bike away. Or if they are, you have to pick up a very heavy bike and try to run with it. I usually don't let the bike out of my sight. If I'm eating at a restaurant, I try to eat outside or keep the bike in my vision. So there are things, auto shifting. This has auto shift. It's got eco. It's got 3 pedal assist, but then it's also got auto shift, which it will just shift based on what the computer thinks that you need. All great things. You can lock the front fork in if you don't want to lose energy, because if you're absorbing, if the suspension is working, then you're losing a bit of forward energy with that compression. So if you want to be more efficient and you're not on a bumpy road, you can lock that out and it'll just be locked in place. There's a lot of things on here. Swiss Army knife. It's like trucks or computers. A lot of my vehicles, I've driven them for 3 or 4 years ago. Oh, I didn't know what that switch was for. There it is. Swiss Army knife of e-bikes, fat bike. I'm ready. I am ready to take this out. But I've got to do some work first. Got to put the pedals on, put the handlebars on, put the through axle in, water bottles, cages, a few things like that. So I guess I better get to work and quit talking to you guys. If you enjoy this and you want to improve your mental and physical health, I invite you back for this fat bike series on the Aventon M and all the other bike riding places that I'm going. Thanks for joining along. It's time for you to get out and get dirty to improve both your mental and physical health. Talk to you later.